Hi, I'm Boris, and this is SPALAH. SPALAH is a Ukrainian company specializing in 3D printed kits of mostly modern military subjects, although they also offer some fantasy/zombie figures and have recently started expanding into 1/350 scale naval subjects. They've been around since 2024, and for such a short time they've already produced some impressive stuff. Being Ukrainian, the SPALAH guys have to deal with the consequences of the ongoing invasion on a daily basis, with things like the entire original staff having been mobilized. And still, they keep on going. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Anyway, now that I've probably annoyed a bunch of people, let's have a look at some of their 1/35th scale products, shall we? First, we have the Soviet 2B11 120mm mortar, here together with crew, but you can also get just the mortar from the SPALAH website. What you get in the box is a small instruction sheet with some history about the mortar and very clear assembly instructions. I mean, you can't do anything wrong anyway, as the whole mortar consists of 5 parts, but still. Then we get instructions on how to paint the Ukrainian multicam camouflage, something that will be challenging for many. At least for me, that much I know. Further on, decal placement instructions and decals for the mortar shells, which is nice, and finally the parts themselves. The 3 rafters are the usual plate plus protective cage 3D prints, and you get 1 rafter per figure, and the third one contains the mortar itself. Instead of trying to get a glimpse of things through the cage, I thought I'll remove some of the parts to have a closer look. Let's start with the figures, and they are excellent. The standing dude covering his ear is first, and his clothing is sculpted in a very realistic and dynamic way. And he's sporting protective eye gear, which is the military's way of saying fancy shades. His kneeling friend is wearing a boonie hat, and the sculpting here is again excellent. And almost as if the SPALAH guys wanted to flex, he has his shoelaces hanging out. That's crazy. By the way, SPALAH sculpts their figures mostly off of real people, 3D scanning and printing them. Which means you might find one of their staff in the box. That sounded weird. The mortar itself consists of just 5 parts, and after cleaning up the supports it builds up in a couple of minutes. Just be careful, as the rod connecting the mortar tube to the bipod won't fit into the respective hole unless you widen that hole a bit. Comparing the mortar to the figures, the mortar's size becomes apparent. That thing is huge. Next, we have boxes for 120mm mines, basically the crates for the mortar shells. You get 2 of these crates in the box, each with a separate lid and interior detail, as well as a small decal sheet. Print quality is again very good, but to me it looks like one of the long edges on the lids is slightly curved. The artillery set of 155mm shells is a set of NATO standard 155mm howitzer shells, commonly used with M109, M198 or M777 howitzers and the like. In the box you'll find a pallet with 8 shells, 4 separate shells, and 4 propellant bags with their transport tubes. What you also get is a selection of fuses and transport inserts for the shells, and of course a set of decals and painting instructions. Painting the pallet will be a bit challenging though, as everything comes in one piece and I can't see myself successfully masking anything here. Sets like this are always useful for filling up empty spots in a diorama, but with the level of detail in this set, I'd rather place it somewhere more visible and prominent. Maybe not unsurprising for a Ukrainian company, SPALAH also offers a set of FPV drones, and these tiny buggers are amazing. In this set you get 5 pieces, and each of the little quadcopters comes complete with a battery pack, the payload, and even a tiny antenna. Just be careful to not break any of the rotor blades when removing the part from its supports. I did, and I realized it just now. Less explosive but still useful, the bucket set gives you 5 buckets in various conditions, from new to not so mint anymore. Although my box was labeled as 1/72 scale, they are definitely 1/35, and they will be useful for any type of diorama setting or just hanging off your Panzerkampf, das war ein Befehl, schneller Wagen. I don't know how it happened, but it seems like I started to collect scale birds a while ago. Pigeons, penguins, and now ravens. 11 of them to be precise, with one of them decidedly not alive, or maybe just resting. Anyway, they look very nice, and it's small things like this which tend to give me ideas for dioramas. Honestly, now I can't wait to do a scene set in late fall somewhere in Central Europe. The last of the diorama sets we're going to take a look at is the swamp environment set with plants and animals. This box is a bit bigger, and it comes filled with water lilies, reeds and animals you would usually find around a pond. For the lilies, you get the leaves in various sizes, as well as some blossoms, and on this rafter you'll also find 2 snakes and 2 frogs. And I mean, look at these tiny feet, they are so cute, I can't even. The centerpiece, however, are the taifa. Wikipedia suggests a lot of different common names for them, so I won't even bother and just call them reeds. They can be found anywhere in the northern hemisphere, thanks again Wikipedia, and you'll get a whole bunch of them in the box. The sculpting is excellent, and now I want to do a pond scene. Apart from all these useful diorama sets, SPALAH was also kind enough to send me their M777A2 Howitzer in 1/35 scale. And boy, is this box stuffed. Before we take a look at the parts, let's just appreciate the paperwork for a minute. First, you get an A3 sized poster to decorate your walls, but more importantly, you'll get a very comprehensive instruction manual, something not so common with small manufacturers. The steps are clear. They are views of what a finished step should look like, and you'll also find annotations on when to glue what. The howitzer can be built in either transport or firing configuration, and you have to decide which one you want to build rather early on, as there are almost no movable parts. The paint and marking guide is especially impressive, with color callouts for all the small parts and a color conversion table for Tamiya, Ammo by Mig and Mr. Hobby Gansi. And you get all of this twice, once for a NATO green scheme and once for a Desert Tan scheme. The decals look fine as well, with all the stencils actually being legible. The amount of parts might look overwhelming at first, but it's actually not that bad once you start removing the supports. Sculpting and print quality are excellent, with parts just oozing detail. Looking at the wheels, for example, they come with a very sharp thread pattern and comprehensive sidewall detail. With this amount of supports, you might think removing everything is going to be a nightmare. I've already built the kit, it took me all but 2 days, and I didn't break a single part in the process. The resin SPALAH uses, together with very thin supports, makes the removal process actually quite easy. So there you go. From everything I've seen, I can only highly recommend SPALAH's products. Yes, I got them for free, but that doesn't change the fact the stuff looks gorgeous. In general, I love what all these small companies are bringing to our hobby, and I'm happy to support their commitment by featuring them on my tiny platform. Speaking of platform, we are getting close to 5,000 subscribers here, and that's something for which I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it, and let me know if you have an idea how to celebrate that. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, or if you simply enjoy pressing buttons, consider leaving a like or a comment, subscribe, share. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.